Good morning, everyone. It's Mr. Mac here, and I'm bringing you the first in a series of whole school assemblies for the period of time that we're closed. And you get to watch them now from the comfort of your own home. Before we start the assembly, I just want to note that staff have all been in touch and are working very hard at home, producing and setting work for you. We've been in school looking after a few key students, and staff wanted me to pass on the message that we all miss you all very much. We hope you are all well, and we look forward to returning to normal. But for the moment, this is where we are. This is going to be our whole school assembly, and the heads of year are also writing and will record their own year group assemblies, which they'll send out by Show My Homework. But I hope we will have a whole school assembly for you to watch and listen to every week. The title of this week's assembly is For the Greater Good, and it's a really apt saying at the moment and something that we all need to bear in mind every day while we go through what is a very, very unusual period of time for us as a society. We always address the British values, and the one that specifically relates to this assembly is individual liberty, because, as you know, that is having to be challenged at the moment, because we are all being asked to stay indoors and not be as mobile as we're all used to being, and that's a pretty big challenge for us. And the fourth value, mutual respect for and tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, and for those without faith. We always address this at the start of our assembly, and this week's quote is from Buddhism, and it reads, "Do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it." And again, that's very apt, because at the moment there's lots of changing news and information coming out about the society and about the coronavirus, and it's important that you only listen to or believe things that you know are factually correct. The two key academy values that apply to this assembly and actually are being taken seriously across the nation are value 3, a desire to contribute to society in a positive way, and value 4, which is a sense of self-awareness combined with the integrity to be compassionate towards others. I'm going to touch upon those throughout the course of the assembly, which is about good. I thought I'd start the assembly with a poem from Professor Simon Armitage, and the poem is called Lockdown. He wrote it recently in response to the government instructions that people should stay in their homes and not go out and mix. And the poem draws a lot of parallels with the period of time in the 17th century where the bubonic plague was in effect in the country, and people had to isolate then like they did now. And he wrote the poetry to draw parallels between the two times. So this is Lockdown by Simon Armitage. And I couldn't escape the waking dream or infected fleas, in the warp and weft of soggy cloth by the tailor's hearth, in ye old Eam, then couldn't unsee the boundary stone, that cock-eyed dice with its 6 dark holes, thimbles brimming with vinegar wine, purging the plagued coins, which brought to mind the sorry story of Emmet Siddle and Roland Tor, star-crossed lovers on either side of the quarantine line, whose wordless courtship spanned the river till she came no longer, but slept again and dreamt this time of the exiled Yacha sending word to his lost wife on a passing cloud, a cloud that followed an earthly map of camel trails and cattle tracks, streams like necklaces, fantail peacocks, painted elephants, embroidered bedspreads of meadows and hedges, bamboo forests and snow-hatted peaks, waterfalls, creeks, the hieroglyphs of wide-winged cranes and the glistening lotus flowers after rain, the air hypnotically see-through, rare, the journey a ponderous one at times, long and slow, but necessarily slow. So as with all poetry, Simon Armitage notes that it asks us to be considerate of language and considerate of each other and the world. He was trying to say something about contact and connection with loved ones when we're separated and confined. I think there's some really great messages in the poem, and there are great messages in poetry itself, which can help us to reflect on what we're having to deal with at the moment. In our community, we are seeing things that relate to our fourth value, specifically having compassion for others. This week there was a really nice activity that was held nationally, which was the Clap for Carers, which happened at 8 p.m. This week. And I hope many of you took part and went out and clapped to show your appreciation for those who are working really hard in the NHS. I know in my neighbourhood it was really clear to see. It's a great example of the community coming together to be compassionate for a group of people who are working extremely hard in this difficult time. I've got some notices for you now of things coming up and things that you need to keep at the front of your mind as we go forward over the next couple of weeks. The first thing is that you should all be completing your work at home, and you should be logging on to Show My Homework. You should be completing your work, and then you should be submitting it through email. This week the staff have been logging positive points for all of the students who've been submitting work, and when we get back to school there'll be a set of rewards for students who've achieved the most positive points. I asked for shout outs this week from staff for students who've done the right thing, and I received so many. I've sent them all out to the heads of year, and they will give you the shout outs in your year assemblies, so look out for those. A couple of pieces of key advice from the government which I think are important enough to send out in this assembly. The first thing is that you should not be visiting other people's homes or socialising outside of your home. It is really important at the moment that you stay indoors unless you are out exercising on your own. You must not go round to other people's houses to socialise. The risk of spreading the virus is just too great at the moment. Even when you are at home, you should be washing your hands frequently for 20 seconds. You should be using hot water, and you should be using soap or sanitizer gel. I've rewritten the APA 10 a day because they are really important and they're a little bit different for us now that we are at home. So I'm just going to talk through these things, but yourself and your families need to be aware of these key things that can help you get it right when you're trying to learn at home. First thing, you have to get up at a good time. That means before 8 a.m. If you lie in past 8 a.m. and then you allow it to get later and later and later, you will go to bed later and later and later, and then you will grow into that habit. And it will be unbelievably difficult to break when we start back at school, when you're expected in at 8:30. So you should try and set an alarm, get up before 8 every single day. You need to shower and get dressed rather than wandering around in your bedclothes all day. Getting showered and getting dressed gets you in the mindset for being up and for being active and for working. You need to have a healthy breakfast so that you don't spend the morning wandering out to the cupboards in the kitchen and snacking and getting distracted. It's really important that you have some food before you start work. You need to log on, and you need to check for your lesson work on Show My Homework. You need to complete the work, and you need to email it to your teacher or take a photo and email that. All teachers are logging the work that you've done and are completing a tracker, so the heads of year can see who's able to work at home and who's not. And then we're going to be calling and speaking to families of people who need some assistance with logging on and completing their work. Be helpful around the house. Ask those you're living with what needs doing. You really need to work together to make sure you're having a nice place to live. Do something active. This can be any time of the day, but if you go out to do it, you shouldn't meet anybody. Joe Wicks, who sometimes has been following my fitness videos on time, has released his own set of PE activities, and they are put online every morning, I believe, at 9 a.m. and you can follow his PE class in your own home. You should do some reading. An hour a day of reading will have a great impact on your literacy. You should not spend more than 1 hour on your phone over the course of the entire day. I know that might seem tough at the moment, but again, it's about not getting into the bad habit of sitting on your phone for hours at a time. And you should go to bed at a decent time so that you're not too tired to get up. All of this assembly ties in with our mission statement, which is preparing every student to be a pillar of any community. We have to work together. You have to do the right thing and be seen to be doing the right thing by others around you during this difficult time. Now, a little bit of light-hearted entertainment. Introducing the APA Keep It Up Challenge. To encourage you to use the YouTube channels where we will be uploading our assemblies, I've asked staff to see how many toilet roll keepy uppies they can do. Mr. Trendle is the first victim and I've uploaded his video. If you search APA Keep It Up Challenge on YouTube, you will find a video of Mr. Trendle doing the Keep It Up Challenge. I would like you to do your own Keep It Up Challenge and get somebody at home to film it. Then you can upload it to Twitter using the @ArkPutney Academy Twitter handle. I will watch all of the videos and decide which ones are good enough to be sent around to all of the students in the school. I look forward to seeing your videos. During this difficult time, we all need to step up and rise to the challenge of working at home and making sure we're doing the right thing all of the time. I hope we'll get back to normal soon. For the moment, please look after yourselves. I hope you stay healthy and please contact school if you have any problems. Thank you very much.